Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fin Factor. I'm Paul.
I'm Aaron.
This is episode number 159. Aaron, the San Jose Sharks, as we kind of expected, are SOL. And of course that means shootout loss. My goodness, this week has just been again, entertaining hockey. That's what we said it was going to be, entertaining hockey, but not a playoff team, which of course means you have to lose. So, I think it was Drew Remenda had said it. Is there anything more entertaining than 3-on-3 overtime hockey? So the Sharks certainly doing the job there, but not getting the job done.
Absolutely brutal. That's 3 games this week. All 3 went to a shootout. All 3 of the Sharks were winning going, I guess, into the third period, and the other team tied, I should say, Anaheim twice tied it up, and Florida had tied it up. And both of them, or all 3, went to overtime, and then nobody scored, and they went to the shootout, and the Sharks lost every shootout. That's incredible, but we'll get into that.
One bright side here of all this, and like we said, it being entertaining hockey and whatnot, but on a more individual level, Erik Karlsson has absolutely gone off so far this season. This is a Norris caliber worthy start to the season for him. It's the best start for him in his career. It's I think he's second in the league in scoring goals right now behind Connor McDavid. He's going off. What is it that's going right for him? Talk to me. What do you think?
Well, I think we talked about this before the season had started earlier in the summer about how it was pretty much after the Brent Burns trade, how that's going to open up more ice time for Erik Karlsson. He's going to be the man. Hopefully he shows up in shape so he's not taking forever to get off to a fast start. And lo and behold, that's kind of what happened. So here's a clip of what we had actually said, in case you're curious, from way back in, I don't know, this a month ago, 2 months ago. So here's what we said.
The other side of this coin with Brent Burns now is the question I wanted to pose: is this the kickstart? Is this the catalyst for Erik Karlsson? Is this what he needs to get back to form, to take over that role entirely, not to share it with anybody else? I'm top dog on defense in terms of offensive defenseman. I'm the guy that the offense runs through on the blue line. Is this what he needs to kind of get back to form, back to what Erik Karlsson is? So I posed that question, and our responses were so long, I didn't want to make it part of this episode. You just go back and check out that episode, right? It was 153, I believe. But essentially, the reason I posed that question was because, yes, that's exactly what I think he needed, and it's kind of showing right now. Yes, he is the guy that's getting, as Aaron had pointed out in that episode, the 30 minutes a night. You can't have 2 guys that are both getting 30 minutes a night. Something's got to give. So now it's kind of Erik Karlsson's boat, right? He's driving this. So I think obviously it's showing up on the stat sheet, and you could see the plays that he's making is very confident. His speed's all there. Everything that he's doing, it's vintage Erik Karlsson, and it's showing up now with the San Jose Sharks with 5 years left on his contract, I believe. So again, Aaron, I posed the question. We had already kind of answered it in that episode, but drive it home here, buddy.
Well, I think I always liked Karlsson better than Burns, and just the simple fact that Burns is a very good defenseman. He's kind of the go-to guy that's going to score you goals, and your offense kind of drives through him from the blue line, on the offensive side. So Karlsson's a little different player where he's more of a playmaker from all 200 feet. How many times did you see him whip a pass through, Burns did this too, but in a different kind of way. It's almost like Burns was all power. Karlsson's more finesse, if you will. So his passes, I think, are a little bit more crisper, a little bit less turnovers this year. I mean, he's still doing turnovers, but he's connecting these passes. You're just like, how did he do that? And the Sharks are exiting the zone a lot quicker than they normally would be. So to me, Karlsson is the kind of guy that doesn't matter who else is on the ice. Doesn't matter if it's the first line or the fourth line. He's making those guys look good and giving them opportunities to succeed. And the Sharks are actually scoring now. Now, at the beginning of the season, Timo Meier couldn't score to save his life. Tomas Hertl actually just scored the other night for the first time since the Czech Republic. So it's these big guns aren't even doing most of the damage in these games. And now they're starting to wake up. But Karlsson's kind of been there the whole time and has been doing it. So, I mean, just quickly through the numbers, the last 5 games, he's on a 5-game point streak right now. He has 7 goals and 6 assists. That's 13 points in 5 games. It's more than 2 points a game. 6 of those points, a goal and 5 assists, to come on the power play. So it's not all power play driven here. His average ice time for the entire season is 24 minutes and 57 seconds, almost 25 minutes. Power play is 325. And what I thought is interesting here, he only has 22 seconds of shorthanded time on the average for the season. That's nothing. He's basically not doing the penalty kill. When it was him and Burns, they both kind of did the penalty kill. I think they did a lot of the heavy lifting, which kind of takes away from the damage that they can do on the power play or at even strength. So I think keeping them fresh and letting the other guys kind of do the dirty work while they get to stay fresh is helping. And we're seeing paying the dividends, right? Like it's working, and he's having the best start to his season that he's ever had in his career, which is amazing.
I really like that. I didn't notice that before, but I really do like that 22 seconds shorthanded stat that you just put up there. Because, yeah, it does. It does reserve him for the more offensive opportunities that are out there. And like you said, when you've got 2 supreme offensive talents like that on the same team and you've got a penalty kill, well, something's got to give. Somebody's got to play there, right? So I just saw that. Thank you for pointing that one out. That's awesome. Giving him the opportunity to really focus in on the offensive side. And, you've got enough guys now. We talked about this before. We talked about Vlasic and we talked about Šimik. And those guys are getting ice time, and they're getting the ability to take those types of minutes away from Karlsson to kind of be more just the defensive presence that they ought to be. Mm-hmm. So, it's actually kind of almost like addition by subtraction. When you take Burns out of the picture there, you get Karlsson doing more of the offensive stuff, but then you get another guy in the lineup who can handle more of the shorthanded, the more defensive situations. So, yeah, awesome stat. Thank you for pulling that one up. Now, we do have another clip here from Coach Quinn relating to Erik Karlsson. You want to set this clip up?
Sure. He was asked after the game what he thought about Erik Karlsson and this whole, people keep calling it a resurgence. I think we even use that word, but he's 32 years old and he's leading the league in scoring for defensemen. And for a while, I think a couple of days ago, he was actually like in the lead for the entire league. So this is Coach Quinn on what he thinks about Karlsson and his resurgence.
Well, I think everybody's seeing, what a world-class player he is. And I know he's had injury issues here the last few years. And I mentioned this before the game, even when I talked to him this summer, he's feeling as good as he has in years. And it's showing. And then, you watch the last 3 games, and not only has he done what he's done and been dominant offensively, but defensively he's been very good. And, I'm just happy for him. I know it's been a tough go for him, but you're talking about a 2-time Norris Trophy winner who's only 32 years old. He's got a lot of great hockey ahead of him, and he's certainly playing like a Norris Trophy winner now.
And there you go, from the mouth of Coach Quinn, Norris Trophy, playing like a Norris Trophy defenseman.
Yeah,
that's exactly what the Sharks need.
Absolutely, 100%. I got a couple comments in here. Debbie saying Vlasic was terrible last night. I think it was a -3 last night. Yeah, I think the whole team can take some blame for sure every time there's a loss. I don't like to point to one player in particular and say that's the reason that they lost. But, again, I guess the point more was that him soaking up some of those defensive minutes allows Karlsson to not have to. Whether or not he was on the ice, when bad things happen. I just think there's a 5-man unit out there and a goaltender that we can also point to. So there's that. Let's see what else we got here. Peter St. John Karlsson is the best offensive defenseman we have ever had, but he is a defensive liability, though. He has been better this year. It makes sense not to put him out there on the PK. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what we've been saying here, too. Thank you, Peter St. John. Before we continue on, actually, I would like to ask you guys to go ahead and support the show as best you can here. If you can give us a like if you're enjoying the show so far, that'd be awesome. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so that you know when we're going live, and it'll get a notification out to you guys. We don't do videos like often, usually just once a week, so it's not going to fill up your inbox with a bunch of junk. Just come and chat with us. We do appreciate that. Also, if thank you. Also, if you guys can, we'd appreciate the share, the retweet, get us out there to the rest of the Sharks family. If you're enjoying us, I'm sure they'll enjoy us as well. So there you go. Aaron, any other comments in here? Oh, sorry. Check the comments, Aaron. Also, if you'd like to support the show monetarily, you can do that with Super Chat. You can also do that through Venmo at The Fin Factor. You can even go to our website, finfactor.com. Go to the products link there, support the show, and buy a hat, shirt, water bottle, whatever. So we have lots of products there. Anyway, Aaron, do you see any comments there worth pulling out?
Yeah, Peter St. John. Karlsson is the best offensive defenseman.
Oh, I just read that one.
Oh, sorry.
So, hey, Peter, it was so good.
So good.
Aaron wanted to read it twice, buddy. Way to go.
Sorry.
Kellen, we will talk about the Barabanov jumping into the bench in just a second or two. And I also like Kellen saying it doesn't matter if it's the first line, the fourth line, or Benning. Karlsson will find a way. I was joking a little bit, and these losses piling up make me feel a little bit better. But I was thinking, gosh, between Karlsson and Reimer, they might will us to being a bubble playoff team. But no, we're not there. We're definitely not. But the way they've been playing, though, they've been playing phenomenally. So yeah, I think it doesn't really matter who he's playing with. Karlsson's pretty much willing the Sharks to being in the conversation, at least on a nightly basis. So good for them. Taylor says, don't worry, you'll get a cut when I win the Powerball. Sweet. Hey, man, best of luck to you.
You see what that's up to?
What's that?
You see what that's up to right now?
No, what is it?
1.9 billion.
Okay, you know what you could buy with 1.9 billion? Probably the naming rights to an AHL arena. Just saying.
Maybe the Arizona Coyotes.
What's that?
Maybe the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, the whole thing, and then we could buy them a new arena too. So let's talk a little bit about the Anaheim game here. Now, I've got your first note, and I'm sure you want to talk about it, was the Zegras slash that gets him a $1,500 fine. Go ahead, take us away on that.
It's weird that they called it a slash because he really just kind of cup checked him really hard and jacked him up pretty good. So he hit Benning, and after the game, I thought I had this clip, but I didn't. Benning, first of all, Matt Benning, his interview, he makes Vlasic look like he talks a million miles a minute. It was one-word answers practically. So they're like, oh, Benning, would you say this, would you use this as a one word? He goes, yeah. Next question, like, oh, would you like this? Yeah. It's like, wow, it reminded me of blanking on the guy who used to play for the Seahawks, the running back, Marshawn Lynch, who's like, I'm just, what did he say?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Like, he clearly did not want to be there. So anyway, they finally asked him about getting slashed by him, and he was like, yeah, well, Zegras was mic'd up and he thought he could be tough. If he wants to be tough, I'll be tough. So I don't know what that was about. So he ends up getting fined $1,500, which sounds punitive, but I think that is the max fine you can do, which is pathetic and probably needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
The good thing is it's kind of a mark on Zegras now. So if he ever does anything again, then it'll become a suspension. So it's kind of like a step in the progress. So I thought, this game was on Tuesday. The Sharks are playing Florida on Thursday, and then they're playing Anaheim again at home on Saturday. So I was like, oh, something's going to happen. I think I said this in the last show. Something's going to happen. The Saturday game is going to be the better game to go to because things are going to carry over from the Tuesday game. Something's bound to happen. And sure enough, here we go. Here's the slash by Zegras. So, it made the game a little bit more exciting. I think there was a lot more boos when Zegras had the puck on his stick at the game on Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can't say anything bad about Matt Benning. He's obviously one of the best defensemen the Sharks have. His interviews are impeccable. I don't know what you're talking about. And no, he didn't give my kids 2 sticks in one practice. So I don't know what you're talking about, Aaron.
He bought you off real early.
I'm admitting it. I've been bought off by Matt Benning
so early.
100%. You can't say anything bad about Matt Benning around me, buddy. It's not going to work.
Takes 2 sticks. That's it. That's
it does.
The cost
And I'm done.
In case
I'm
you're wondering.
Let's see. Moving on, we've got the Sharks against Florida. Another shootout loss, 4-3 this time. Kunin gets ejected early for a check to the head on that one. Did you see this play now?
I was actually at the game. I was at this game, and the hit was I think it was along the boards to my right, and it looked like a hit, like it was a big hit, but they didn't show the replay at the game, so I had not been able to see like how bad it was or whatever. But they did review it in the game. So when they announced it, they said it was a 5-minute major, which automatically gets reviewed. So the refs took, I don't know, probably a couple minutes looking at it over and over, and then they said, "Yep, the call stands. It's going to be a 5-minute major, 10-minute game misconduct. He's kicked out." And that was early. That was only a couple minutes into the game. So right away, the Sharks kind of had to scramble up their lines because that's their guy on their, was he on the 3rd line right now?
Yeah.
So everything just kind of got put into the blender for lines for the bottom 6. So that kind of changed things around. I think some people got more ice time than they normally would because of that. So yeah, it was a fun game. Like it's funny, the first and the second periods, probably because Florida and San Jose just don't see each other. They see each other twice a year, ever. Like they've never played in the playoffs against each other. There's no history. There's nothing. The first 2 periods were boring. They were just like, ho hum. Okay. Hockey was just played. Now we're going to the 3rd period. They were down 2-0, and the Sharks stormed back and scored 3. And they scored one, I think, like in the beginning of the 3rd period. So it all of a sudden, like it was electric. Like, wow, the crowd was pretty thin. But as soon as they scored, it was going pretty loud. So I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then they scored again to tie, and they're like, wow. And then they took the lead, and I'm like, holy cow! Like this is Florida. Florida's a good Cup favorite team right now. And the Sharks just came back and scored 3 in the 3rd period, which the 3rd period has been the worst period for the Sharks. So now it looks like they're kind of fixing that up, which, well, not really, but at least they're scoring goals now in the 3rd, which they weren't doing at all. So it was exciting, and then it went, to overtime, which was exciting. Actually, you know what? I take it back. That overtime was awful. Overtime was bad. But Florida kind of possessed the puck a lot, and they moved it really slow. It was not a lot of back and forth. Like the overtime, I feel like last night, right? It was last night. The second Anaheim one, that was exciting because it was kind of a little bit more back and forth. Like you get more fast breaks. This one was like, it was like the 1st and 2nd period. It was so boring. It's like, why are we here? This is awful. Then we go to the shootout, and we're terrible. So, yeah. Anyway, that was the game. Did you watch this game?
So I watched all these games, and what I noticed in the overtime, why it was so terrible, is Matt Benning was not playing very much in that overtime.
Jeez.
No, I mean, like you said, the first 2 periods not so hot. The 3rd period there, they kind of overcome their 3rd period woes, and they score 3. So, again, going back to this whole thing that we've been talking about for this season so far on the show is being entertaining still, and I think that the Sharks have at least fit that bill. Whether or not they're scoring in the 3rd, and then all of a sudden you've got a game where they're terrible in the beginning part of it, and then they come back in the 3rd. Who knows, right? So it's kind of one of those, you're not really sure what you're going to get teams. It's probably going to end up in a loss, but other than that, it's again, the goal, I think, for me, the takeaway for this season is going to be, is it at least entertaining hockey? I have no expectation beyond that in terms of points and whatnot. So the Sharks kind of, again, falling to the Florida Panthers in this game, where they could have done a much better job in those first 2 periods where they hadn't really struggled that much in previous games. And then, 3rd period makes them turn around. So we do have a clip here with Sturm. It says the lack of points by a team in the season playing better against better teams. Why don't you go ahead and set this clip up again, and then we'll go ahead and play it for you guys.
Sure. I wanted to get Nico Sturm, a clip of Nico Sturm, because I heard him talk in this interview and I was like, wow, it is the complete opposite of Matt Benning. This guy sounds like a captain material. He's very well spoken. He's very smart. You could just by the answers of his questions, it's like, wow, he's a really, really smart player. Obviously, we've seen what he's done on the ice. He's got 5 goals and assists this season was the 4th line center, now kind of the 3rd line center. This guy seems like a very good leader. I cannot be happier that management brought him in here. I didn't know much about him before the season. So, I am blown away at this guy. So anyway, the question was kind of more or less like, the Sharks seem to, when they're playing against teams like Florida and like these cup contenders, Tampa Bay, the New York Rangers, they kind of get up to play them and they play very well. Why is it like that? And then you play against teams like that are lower, like Anaheim, who's just as bad and at the bottom. Why aren't they playing as well? So here's what his answer is.
Yeah, I think the good thing is that we had the chance to get a lot of points in games that we didn't. So it's not that we got blown out of the barn. And sometimes you lose a game and you're like, the other team was just way better tonight. There was no chance for us to get any points. But in a lot of those games that we didn't get any points, I actually thought we're in the game pretty much until the last couple of minutes. So for us, it's about playing a full 60 minutes today was much better than in the last game, and I feel like we tend to maybe do that a lot against maybe the teams where we think they're better than others, and that's got to change. We got to make sure we come out every game with that kind of effort, and then it'll give us a really good chance. So tonight, I think we saw one of our better games in terms of intensity, and we give ourselves a really good chance to win the game.
Huge difference from the one-word answer of, yeah, we didn't score many points, like he breaks it down. Later in that interview, he was asked about the hit that got Kunin ejected. And instead of saying, he said, I didn't see it. I haven't seen a replay of it. I didn't see it. That was it. Then he took a break or a pause, and he just goes, I was on the ice and I was forechecking and I had my back to it and I heard the big hit and I turned around, but I didn't get to see it and I have yet to see a replay. So he expanded on exactly where he was and why he didn't see it, almost like feeling defensive of I'm not trying to skirt the answer. I don't want to say anything to get in trouble. But it was like he genuinely had not seen it.
Yeah, Eigen Grau, I think is how you pronounce this, says Sturm's got heart, or if we're playing in Boston, hot. Thank you very much for that. I hope I pronounced that right, by the way. You can let me know if I did or didn't. I'm not going to get it right if I didn't, but oh well. Peter St. John says we need Benning in the shootout. He will fix everything. Kellen saying, well, he doesn't have many sticks left. Paul has them all. I don't have them all. I have 2. And it's my kids, not me. Anyway. And then maybe Paul will give one back. No. Once you give me the stick, it's over. It's mine. So there you go. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you, honestly, with Sturm. I've been very impressed with what he's brought to the team so far, both on the ice and off the ice. He, to me, is one of those guys like Mario Ferraro. He's got that engine always going, always chugging after it, and he does not slow down. He does not stop. He does not watch the play. He becomes the play. He's that guy. So I am more than happy with Nico Sturm and everything he's brought on the ice. And again, off the ice, you see that leadership quality. Maybe not like a captain necessarily, but certainly someone that could be in a leadership role, a voice in the room, somebody that people look up to. He's got a cup under his belt, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of good things that the guy brings. And as Eigen Grau, there you go. He says correct. I said it correctly. There you go. As he had said that he does have hot. So, yeah, very, very happy with him. Sorry to hear about Mario Ferraro. That we'll talk about that in the next game, but go ahead.
Yeah, he's not wrong. Like the Sharks, they have the lead a lot of the times going. They've been scoring the goals first in the game. It's almost like they're shooting themselves in the foot a lot, and it's stuff that can get corrected, I feel like. Now imagine half those games that they lost where they came back. Imagine if they were able to shut down other teams and keep the lead. It's not like they're always behind. It's not like they're getting blown out. All the games are within a goal, and they seem to just the next game we're going to talk about is a perfect example. They were up 4-2, dominating the game. I even wrote in the notes, best game to date. And then I had to add until the last 5 minutes because they didn't complete the game. And I was just like, blown away. Like, oh my gosh, first of all, we'll get into it in a minute, but just like, you know what I mean? Like it's fixable mistakes that, it's a team that's going to be good. And I'm not saying the Sharks are going to be this cup winning team in a year, but they're building right now. It's a building block year and they're putting all these building blocks together for the upcoming seasons. Not so much this one, but next season. I'm still a firm believer that the Sharks are going to get a top 5 pick. That player is going to be able to jump into the NHL next season. They're going to have him. They're going to have Bordeleau. They're going to have Eklund ready to go. And then you mix them in with Hurdle, Meyer, I'm assuming Meyer's still here, and Couture. You're going to have a pretty solid top 6 now. So I think the Sharks' trajectory are going up. I don't think they're getting worse. Now, it's hard to say that when the standings, they just keep going down, down, down. But if you look at the overall picture of the team and where it's going and how it's kind of designed and looking, I mean, you can add in who knows what kind of free agents they're going to pull in next season, going into next season. So there's a lot of hope, I think, for next year, at least for me.
Yeah, like you said here, the best game until the last 5. I mean, you can play 55 minutes straight of great hockey and have a 2-goal lead going into the latter portion of the final period there, and then still just it can all fall apart on you. It's one of those things that the Sharks haven't been able to do for quite a while. Is kind of like step on the throat, right? Is get them. When your opponent is down, don't think, oh, we got him. We'll just kind of play, that prevent style. No. Go after him, get after him, keep going. What's been working for 55 minutes is going to work for that last 5, right? And when you decide not to do that, when you decide to change it up and just kind of back off a little bit, that's where you start getting these problems where all of a sudden that 55 minutes means nothing. That last 5 minutes is everything. So, Aaron wants to do a roll call here. So let's, Aaron, what do you want to do here for roll call? What is your question to the people?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure.
Obviously, where are you watching from, right?
Well, where are you watching from? But the question should be, do you think the Sharks' trajectory is going to be going up? How about that?
Do you think they are on the correct trajectory is what Aaron would like to know. Do you think that this team is headed in the right direction, or do you think we're just spiraling out of control for the rest of this season, and then hopefully we just get another draft pick and go from there? So there you go. That'll be the question. We'd love to see your answers to this. Please feel free to throw that in the chat and we will address them as we see them. Then let's see. We talked about it just briefly, but Ferraro does take one in the face. I hate seeing this for 2 reasons. One, because it's Mario Ferraro, and he's absolutely like my favorite hard worker on the team. And I hate seeing when a guy is so passionate about the game and he's grinding hard, he's playing hard, and then he gets an injury like this, and he's out basically, right? So if you didn't see it, it was a shot and he poke checked and it just acted just like a ramp and it went right up and it hit him. Aaron, did it hit him in the jaw or did it hit him in the throat? It was really hard to see.
Yeah, when I watched during the game, I thought it hit him in the mouth. And I was like, oh, great. He just had a bunch of dental work and he got hit last year. And it took him a while, kind of like when Burns got hit and got hit again. But then I watched it again and it looked like it hit him in the neck, like kind of down here. And I think they said, I was trying to find an update and I haven't seen anything, but they said that he was bandaged around his neck after the game. So that could be scary, man. I mean, imagine like maybe he couldn't breathe because he got hit in the throat and it collapsed kind of his throat. That's a scary, weird injury that happened. I'm not saying that's what it was, but that's a chance because I don't think it was teeth. He didn't lose any teeth. He wasn't bleeding either. Like I was expecting a whole blood trail on the ice and there was nothing. Yeah. So that's why I think it was the neck.
Yeah, and you see him usually when a hockey player gets hurt in the middle of a play, they kind of like will still kind of hobble around and but he went like straight down to a knee holding like couldn't tell if it was his chin or his neck, but you just kind of like the area down here. And to see him just kind of like crumple, it's like, oh man, that ain't good, right? Especially for a guy like that who is, I don't care if I'm hurt, I'm going for it, right? We've seen him block shots and get hurt, and he hobbles around and tries to finish the play. This was, I just dropped to a knee and ow. So yeah, when Ferraro stops playing, it's a big deal. So you're gonna say something?
No, I like, to me, that it just makes me think that like he couldn't breathe. I mean, imagine you're sprinting and you're out of breath, and then all of a sudden you just cut off your breathing, that you freak out and you drop to the ice and be like, oh my God, this is not right. This is not good.
So taking a look at some of the responses here, Matt Lowe saying Castro Valley, California, Sharks trajectory should increase by 5 to 10%, no more, no less. Oh, so are you saying trajectory in terms of how many points they've gathered up throughout the season? Is that what you mean by that? I think we were just saying the way that the team is gelling and working together, that they're on the right path, I think is more what we were saying. But your use of 5 to 10%, I was just curious what you meant by that one there. But thank you for your comment there, Matt. Maximus is lit, says, I think this team is going in the right direction if they keep the games close but lose overall. Yeah, and honestly, again, that goes back to what I said a few times now, is it's entertaining hockey. It's got to be close to be entertaining, but you got to lose to get the pick you want. So it's going to be entertaining hockey, but hopefully they, kind of do what they've been doing so that they don't end up a bubble team that gets bounced in the first round or doesn't make it in the playoffs right at the end. You kind of want, if you're not going to make it, we want to have the best pick possible. So this is kind of the best of both worlds, where we should be able to secure that pick. But, we're watching it and going, man, that was actually pretty entertaining stuff.
I'm still baffled by the amount of people that don't want the Sharks to kind of tank this season, or not so much that they don't want them to tank, but get mad that they're losing, like, I don't know, maybe because I'm a half glass full kind of guy and I look already to next season and who's coming into the draft and excited about it more than, hanging on by a thread of the Sharks should do everything they can possibly, either one way or the other, right? Like they should be making their team better or completely selling everything and just blowing the team up, which I just don't think is right. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Okay, so let's see. We've got any other comments here we should be pulling out. Debbie says, remember when Murray broke his Adam's apple? That was terrible. That sounds terrible. Jeez. Yeah. I know players will always deny it, but I wonder how bad the Europe trip gimped the start of this season for them.
I think so.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because they had to rush their training camp. They brought some of those guys over. Like it was a shortened training camp. I think that was, and you have a new coach coming with a new system, like a whole overhaul of everything, and you have a shortened training camp. Yeah, I think they didn't get off to a good start, I don't think. Plus all that travel. I mean, that's a long ways to go for 2 games. And then you come
fair
home
enough.
and
Let's see. It seems Taylor saying it seems like they're playing better than the start of the season, but just can't close out. As fun as wins are, not hating the trajectory toward the better draft pick. Absolutely. And that would be trending in the right direction, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's crazy. The Sharks have 1 regulation win. It was against Philly when they beat them 3-0 the other day and had a shutout. So the only way they're going to get a regulation win, and that's not even a guarantee, is a shutout. Because they could be shut out 0-0 and go to overtime.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about with this Sharks Anaheim game, and this is something that Kellen Foster had tweeted to us, and I think we may have a graphic. Super producer Jason does not like Twitter when it comes to putting graphics on the screen. I will tell you that much. But I believe we have this, and if he doesn't have it, I'll just have to pull it up myself and read it here. It says, can't wait for the fin factor breakdown of why Kunin goal was a legit goal or legal goal. Okay, so I saw this goal, and the first thing I thought of was Colorado's offside call in the 2019 playoffs against the Sharks, because that player, whoever it was, skated up to the bench, was in the offensive zone, and stood at the door with his skates on the ice in the offensive zone, just stood there. And then Colorado brought the puck in and across, and they were called offside. After the fact, they were called offside, right? And the goal was called back. In this case, Barabanov basically did the same thing, except he didn't stand there. As soon as he got to the door, he jumped, he leapt. And some folks are saying, well, now wait a minute, he didn't leap in time. The puck was already across the line or whatever. And I couldn't give this to Super Producer Jason because he would have killed me. But I did a slow motion with my there you go. I did slow motion with my my phone on the TV, so you can imagine the flicker that I was getting. But I was watching like his heels as he was coming up off the ice, and his heels definitely come up off the ice before the stick starts to go past the blue line, and you can't see the puck because it's kind of hidden behind the stick, right? But his heels definitely go up, and his toes are shortly right after that because he hops. So though you can't see the puck, I imagine where the puck was, it would not have been offside anyway. Having said that, the call on the ice was good goal. There was no offside call, right? So it has to be conclusive, irrefutable evidence, right? To be able to overturn that call. And they did not have that. So either they did not have that irrefutable evidence because they couldn't see that it was offside, and so therefore they can't overturn, or they had the same kind of slow motion, maybe a better angle where they could see that, yes, his heels and his toes had hopped off the rink before the puck actually crossed the line. So that, to me, Kellen specifically, that is the breakdown, the fin factor breakdown that you're requesting as to why it was a legal goal, because he actually either did hop off, which it appeared that he did, or they simply could not overturn it with enough conclusive, irrefutable evidence. There you go.
I think this rule needs to get simplified because it's just way too long. And it took how long for them to review it? It was like 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
It was a very long time. I think the rule, simplify it and say, would it have been too many men on the ice? No, then it's not offside. Because the guy's going off. He's not in the play. He has nothing to do with the play. The guy's already jumping on. So the other guy is already jumping on for the play. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that will significantly bring down that 5 minute time to 30 seconds. Okay. Was it too many men on the ice? Like, were they trying to get an advantage where they're jumping on? And, you know, like you've seen that in overtimes where a guy's coming off the ice, and the other one jumps from the other side of the bench to go, you know, like, no. So I think that needs to get simplified rather than getting more complicated with more cameras and more. It's silly. It's
so silly. If you want to simplify it, you take the door and you move the door to the neutral zone, not in the offensive zone. That's a Sharks
quirk too. That's every arena is different. The Sharks bench, the away bench on the Shark or in the arena, SAP Center. When they built the arena, they didn't build it for hockey. They just were going to build an arena, and then they were like, "Oh, we can have the Sharks." That's why there's the press box is in the rafters, because it was an afterthought. They didn't have a press box. They didn't build one. So they put it in the rafters. That's why it's so high and there's obstructed view. It's awful. And then the benches are so short that the away goalie can't sit on the bench, and he has to sit on the opposite side toward the locker room by himself. He's in no man's land. He's just sitting there with the fans behind the glass by the door. He mans the door. It's awful. So the backup goalie never even gets to sit with the bench. So yeah, the benches are too small. They put the doors out so that it's further, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know. It's just a quirky arena that's never going to get changed because the arena is so old and they're not going to build a new one.
And then we have another tweet, and I don't know, Super Producer Jason, I'm so sorry. But this is from Kellen again. Says, if this goal is allowed, the garbage collector slide cannot be used. This was not a garbage collector goal. Now, again, this resulted in Kunin getting a goal here. So Kellen says that the goal that he scored is not a garbage collector goal. And Kellen, I have to say, you are absolutely 100% unequivocally incorrect, sir. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my real dad, okay? I don't want to hear it. I'll play that slide if I want to. Doesn't matter. And anyway, it was like a pass that went off of his shin guard and in. Like how much? It's pretty garbage to me. I mean, what do you think, Aaron?
The garbage goal. Good things happen. Good things happen when you go to the net.
Absolutely. And that's not a knock on Kunin at all. I'm not calling it a garbage goal because the guy can't score or anything else.
No.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, go to those dirty areas. We need guys like you, right?
Absolutely. The Sharks am I muted? The Sharks did not have enough of those types of guys. And this is one of Greer's guys that he brought in because he saw that the Sharks did not have someone like this. So I am okay with these garbage goals. I like them. Garbage goals are still goals.
Absolutely. And it gives super producer Jason something to put up on screen for us too.
I like Kellen Foster. SAP Arena is one of the 5 arenas in the NHL with that door problem. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It's a quirky thing, but Sharks still aren't the only ones that have this problem. But it is a problem.
It can't be that hard, right? To take the boards down and just get new ones that have the door over there, right?
The only thing is the way the bench is situated, it's a little bit further away from the end of the bench.
That's where the backup goalie can sit. Whatever.
That's all. Well, they're
big boys. They can hop the bench. Come on.
The problem with the backup goalie is they'd have to get rid of some high-paying seats that are on the glass in order to make the bench bigger and longer, and they don't want to do that. Just like the NHL should have international ice, but that would get rid of the first 3-4 rows of high-paying people that they don't want to get rid of.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
Yes, get on with it.
I'm going to say that was directed at you because that was you talking, not me.
Whatever.
So, all right, let's get on with it then. Aaron, sorry. The next thing we want to talk about, this is not a laughing matter. I don't know why I'm laughing, to be honest with you, but this whole thing has nothing to do with the Sharks whatsoever. Has everything to do with Boston Bruins and a recent signing of theirs, a very controversial signing. I think you know a lot more about this entire story. I know the Cliff Notes version of it. I think I'll let you go ahead and talk us through this one because I don't want to give any misinformation here. So you go ahead, fire away.
Sure. All right. Here's a prospect that was a 4th round draft pick by the Arizona Coyotes 2 years ago. There was something that came about or information that came out after he was already picked. I think it was even happened before. And everyone was kind of like dunking on the Coyotes going, why would you pick this guy? It was awful. So the whole incident, it wasn't even an incident. This is the problem. It was years of abuse of this kid picking on a classmate from 2nd grade through, I don't know how long it was, 14, 15 years old, something like that. He pretended to be his friend. The kid, I think he has special needs, and he is a person of color. And this kid, Mitchell Miller, is a white kid who used a lot of, what do they call it?
Racial slurs.
Racial slurs. And it wasn't. So the thing is, they're trying to pin it as it was one incident where he took a piece of candy and put it in a urinal, peed on it, made the kid eat it. It's awful, right? It's terrible, but that's only one incident of many that he had done over the years of this kid's life. He ruined this kid. So I don't know what Boston was thinking. It's so stupid because everybody knew about this kid. It was not one incident. It was years of abuse. Boston went out and signed this kid to an entry-level deal on Friday. This was Friday. This is 3 days ago. 3 days ago. They did it on a Friday because it's a slow news day. That's when you want to bury the lead, is you do it on a Friday. There's one incident, right, of Boston being stupid, but knowingly stupid. Then they come out and claim that they thought it was one incident. Malarkey. That's ridiculous. Everybody knew this story. Then they said, oh, well, he's been doing his due diligence. And here's a quote. What is this? The tweet is that you have up. I can't even read it. It's so small. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he's saying that he's apologizing for this one incident. It wasn't one incident. This is years of abuse. This player because he signed with the Bruins or was going to sign with the Bruins said you have to do an apology, a public apology to this kid. He writes him a DM on Instagram. That's how he reaches out to him. Doesn't call him, doesn't meet him in person, does absolutely nothing. He had 25 hours of community service because he was charged criminally for this. 25 hours of community service. That's the only community service that he did because he legally had to. He comes to find out that his agent who had signed him said that he did all this stuff, and they name all these places that he's volunteering and do all this work. All those places go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't put our name in this because he hasn't done anything with us. Like, it was just complete, even more BS. It was like, are you kidding? Like, what is going on? They did their homework. They know. The Bruins knew. They even got quotes from Patrice Bergeron. Did you see this? Patrice Bergeron came out and was like, he would not be welcome in our locker room. This is not the kind of person that we would have in our organization. This is so... I'm trying to not use bad words here.
I'm sorry. Did Bergeron say that after they signed
After
him?
the signing. So the signing was on Friday. Saturday, they asked for quotes from some of the players. Right? So I'm trying to find the actual quote of where he said it.
Well, and I do recall kind of as I was reading through some of this stuff that I think the mom had gone back and forth with one of the news sources saying that that the Mitchell hadn't really done anything other than that one DM to him, right? And that he said this has nothing to do with hockey as part of that. It's like, no, this has everything to do with hockey. You had, again, years worth of this, and then you could have, at any point after the initial time that people found out about this, at any point between then and now, you could have said, hey, you know what? I screwed up. I'm so sorry. I realized that I was just, a young moron back then. I was doing all the wrong things. I'm trying to make it better. Let me help in any way that I can to help make it better for you, blah, 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 anything, right? And of course, doing that not necessarily in a DM, doing it in person would have been better. But the timing of this, you cannot possibly convince me that this has nothing to do with hockey. So, to me, again, I'm siding with Patrice Bergeron here. This is not the type of player that any team should want to have in their locker room. If there was actual remorse, you might be able to make a case for it. As much as I would hate to do that, you might be able to make a case for it. And it's hard to do that because think if it was your kid that this guy was bullying for years, how would you feel about that? Right? There's no way you would say, yeah, no, it's okay. He's rehabilitated now. Let him back into the league, whatever. There's a line that's drawn there, and he's certainly crossed it.
Funny you should say that about your own kid, because that was the question they asked Don Sweeney, the GM of the Bruins, and he couldn't give an answer.
Oh,
during the press conference. So Patrice Bergeron apparently was asked by Don Sweeney a week ago, and he said, I was asked by Don my opinion. I had my concerns and shared my opinion in a way I think was not necessarily agreeing with. To be honest, the culture we built here is against that type of behavior. I think we're a team that has built something about character and character people and individuals. What he did obviously is unacceptable, and we don't stand by that. In this locker room, we are all about diversity, inclusion, and respect. Those are the key words and core values we have. We expect guys to wear this jersey to be high character people with integrity and respect. That's how they should be acting. My understanding is that he's going to be putting a lot of work and development in the community programs to better himself. It's up to him to do that. From my standpoint, it's a hockey operator's decision, and we can only control what we can control, blah, blah, blah. Nick Foligno, who signed as a free agent, was asked, another guy who is very eloquent speaking. It's not something that anyone in this room stands for. The culture we have built and these guys have built before I got here is inclusion, and I think it goes against that. I understand he was 14 when he made that mistake, but it's hard for us to swallow because we take a lot of pride in here, the way we act and carry ourselves and what it is to be a Bruin. It's a tough thing to hear from our group. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think any guy was too happy because of how proud we are to say this group and takes a lot about ourselves, how we carry ourselves, and how we treat people so far, especially for the guys who have been there. That was a tough pill to swallow. I don't think the organization is ever not looking out for the best interest of us, but I think we had a lot of concerns, and this kid will have to answer and prove to everybody, especially if he wants to get in this room and he's a changed man, and we hope he works towards that. That's That's not a deflection.
Condemning.
That's a pretty. I mean, both of them, both Bergeron and Foligno, those are guys that will probably be future GMs or some kind of in the sport still later on. They're very again more smart hockey players. This is it is so moronic. In 3 days, the Bruins have tarnished their reputation so poorly. And then they start trying to deflect the blame and saying that they didn't know. It's complete and utter, not going to say the word, but just it makes me angry. It makes
Debbie
me angry
said it for you.
Yeah, it just makes me so angry that they thought they could get away with it. They thought they could slip through and get this guy. You know why? Because after this incident and after he got dropped by Arizona, he got cut from his college team. So a year later, he went into the ECHL, and he's leading the league in scoring as a defenseman. So the Bruins thought, oh, you know what? There's other teams that are looking into this. We should sign him first. No, do your due diligence. Do your work. Do the work. You would have found out real quick from a quick Google search. Nope, not this kid. He has zero remorse for anything that he's done. People say, oh, you should give him a second chance. They've given him a second chance, and he's blown it. He has done nothing, absolutely nothing. This kid, to me, he's 20 years old now. He's not even a kid, and he still hasn't manned up and done what he should have done. So no, this guy should never play in the NHL. Gary Bettman came out and said he's not eligible to play in the NHL. If he wants to play in another league, that's another league's problem, but he's not going to be eligible. And the Bruins did not clear it with Gary Bettman. I mean, it's so egregious. Like, it's so maddening. I don't know. I brought this up because I was so mad, and I was like, this is big news. I don't think. Yeah, there you go. So today, the Bruins announced that they renounced his contract. Duh. Friday, trying to bury it on Friday. By Sunday, he's already cut. The heat was too strong. And good. Good on them for doing kind of the right thing, but it's just so stupid. I'm
sorry, I'm dying over here. That's contract. Duh.
So stupid.
Hey, tell us how you really feel.
I can't.
Well,
we will get flagged on our show.
Debbie wants you to. Debbie Smith says, come on, Aaron, we're all adults. Yes, Debbie, we are, mostly adults. We are a family-friendly show, and we do have actually some kids that listen to the show. Aaron, you want to tell this story real quick?
Absolutely.
Lighten the mood a bit here?
Today, I was at Sharks Ice. I was there for a birthday party for a family member, and I had my kids with me, and I was wearing my Fin Factor hat, and two younger kids, I mean, they maybe were 10 years old, came up to me, and they said, hey, are you the guy from the Fin Factor? And I was like, yeah, I'm Aaron. And they're like, oh, we know Paul. Oh, that's so cool. We watch all of your shows. I'm like, oh, really? That's so cool. And they're like, yeah, they love it. And then, I didn't get to talk to him much because my kids were crying and screaming and being little punks. So I was like, okay, I got to go. Sorry, guys, but thanks for watching the show. It's awesome. I also had another lady saw my hat at the game on Thursday, and she wanted to buy one. She's like, where can I get one? And I said, go to thefinfactor.com. She comes back, shows me her phone, and she went to Fear the Fin. I go, no. The Fin Factor. Let me type it in for you. I typed it in for her, and she bought a hat right then online. Boom. So if you'd like to buy a hat, you can go to thefinfactor.com. Get yourself some swag. Hats are legit. I get a lot of comments from it. Not gonna lie.
Hats are actually legit. The stitching on it, they stand off. Oh, it's really, really nice. So Super Producer Jason, by the way, thefinfactor.com if you'd like to get one of those. Super Producer Jason put it up earlier, Taylor Ulrich, and we didn't get to say it. But he says, thanks for talking about this, guys. Still a fairly new hockey fan and have heard about hockey culture, Hockey Canada. Really appreciate you all calling out the player and the org. Thanks, Taylor, for thanking us for that. We generally keep it more about Sharks hockey and Barracuda as we kind of have season tickets for the next couple of years here. We'll probably be talking about them as well. Because we get to see them more, right?
Yeah.
But now and then there is kind of a story that reaches past, the San Jose and what we would focus on. And something like this I think it's important for people to kind of be informed about it. And as I said, I know the Cliff's Notes version of everything that happened. So some of what Aaron just told me was kind of news to me. So, I think it's still important to get some of this message out there. And again, as we had told, oh gosh, what's her name? Is it Debbie? Yeah, Debbie. As we had told Debbie, we're mostly adults here. It's a pretty family friendly show, but for any younger folks, hopefully not as young as 10, but if there are any younger folks that are kind of listening, these are the types of things you don't want to do as a human being to other human beings, right? I don't want to sound like Jerry Springer, but the whole be kind to each other thing, right? Like don't do these types of things, because not only does it make you a horrible human being, but it's the type of thing that can screw up your life later on down the road when someone else says, hey, that was the guy that did this to me, right? Don't be that person. Be the good person. I don't want to go too far into that. But anyway, that's my little life lesson for you guys for the day. The more you know, if you want to throw that up there, there you go. Oh, what is this now?
Oh, there's the hat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there. So thank you for thanking us. If you'd like to support the show, you can go ahead and go to thefинfactor.com and get one of those hats. There's some pictures and stuff up there too. Anyway, we're just throwing that out there. I'm not sure why. But anyway, Aaron, anything else you want to say about this situation?
Sure.
Or
yeah, I mean, I could keep going, but hockey is for everyone. That's the NHL slogan. They're trying to do diversity. It's a lie. Hockey is not for everyone. Hockey is not for racists and bigots and fascists. They have no place in hockey or most places, really. So, no, hockey is not for everyone.
okay, there you go. I mean, I think it's supposed to be a positive message, but the way you framed it, obviously, you're
being
I think
a little
you're right
sarcastic there, but yeah.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, going real quick, going back to Taylor, the Hockey Canada thing is another huge topic that is so wrong, and we still haven't even seen the fallout completely from that. I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about, Paul.
I actually did not hear what you said, so you want to say that one more time?
I said the Hockey Canada whole issue, we have not seen the fallout from all of that come out yet. We still will, and I'm sure it will be coming maybe even this season. And it sounds like you kind of been reading up on it, Taylor, so I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
There you go. Okay, let's get back to some Sharks hockey here. Upcoming games, we've got 3 of them. Actually, it's kind of weird. We've got quite a gap from today here. The first game is on Thursday against St. Louis, huh?
Yeah, there's a big break. It's kind of weird because then they go 3 games in 4 days.
Yeah, that is really weird. So Thursday in St. Louis, 5 p.m., and then Friday in Dallas, 5:30, and Sunday against Minnesota in Minnesota at 3 p.m. So again, this is one of those things that we're not looking at wins and losses and how many points. Normally in the season, we'd be guessing these things, right? For this, I don't think we're guessing so much on points, but do these games have the ability to be what we want them to be, which is entertaining hockey, or are these teams either going to just blow out the Sharks? What's your take on these ones one day at a time? Do the Sharks have an opportunity to make these games entertaining at least?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would be surprised to know that St. Louis is below the Sharks in the standings right now.
I would be surprised.
However, they have played less games. They only have 9 games. The Sharks have 14, so they've played 5 more. But they only have 3 wins and 6 losses, which is a big deal for St. Louis because they should be a lot better than that. Minnesota's kind of going through the same thing. They're starting to right the ship, but they are 5-5-1. They should be a lot higher. And Dallas is just 8-3-1, so they're up at the top. So I don't see much of the Dallas game, but the St. Louis and Minnesota games could be winnable here. I don't want them
not even just entertaining, but winnable. You're saying
exactly. Yeah, we're going to see some points. I think we're going to see the losing streak end in these 3 games somewhere at some point. Sharks are going to get a win.
I want to know what the NHL record is for most consecutive shootout losses in a row. I think we're going for that right now, Aaron. I think that's what we're going for.
That's not a record you want to be in the record books for.
There's only a few things we care about right now. The Erik Karlsson streak and the shootout loss streak is the one I'm guessing is going to continue.
Let's talk about shootouts.
Yeah.
That should have been the question. Are you a fan of the shootout, Paul?
I actually I enjoy the shootout for what it is. I don't enjoy it as a way to determine the game, but I understand why it's necessary. I don't like ties. I know you don't care and you'll be happy with ties, but you're a soccer fan and I don't really care for ties. I would rather the game be decided. And I've already told you, and you think it's ridiculous, but I think if you went to a 5-point system, okay, where if you get a win in regulation, it's 5 points. A win in overtime is 4 points, and the losing team gets 1. A win in shootout gets 3 points, and the losing team gets 2. That way, you actually have a bonus point for winning in the overtime as opposed to over the shootout instead of having the row column.
I don't know why you did 5 points. I was doing 3.
No, exactly. This is exactly why. Because if you win in the shootout, you would get less points than if you were to win in overtime.
Right. 3 points for a regulation win. 2 for overtime or shootout.
Yeah. And the other team gets 1 point.
Overtime loss. So it's 3 points for every game, no matter what happens.
But then if you if you win in the shootout and you get 1 point, the other team gets 0?
But no, if you win in a shootout or overtime, you get 2.
That's how it is already, though, right?
Right. But a regulation win would give you 3. So every game's 3 points.
I think
because if every game that goes to overtime is 3 points, why not make a regulation game 3 points?
I think you reward the overtime win more than the shootout win, though. That's why I say 5. But
if it was 5-on-5 overtime, sure, but it's 3-on-3. It's not real hockey.
Yeah. So what?
What are we doing here?
Just talking. We're talking, buddy. Okay. So obviously so what are your thoughts on it then?
Abolish the shootout. I think it's horrendous. I think it's really dumb. I think it's better to do a coin flip and be done quicker than to do a shootout. The shootout, it's so funny because everyone's like, oh, it was such a loss. Oh, the Sharks are on a 3-game losing streak or 4-game losing streak with 3 shootout losses. Are you kidding? It's a skills challenge. Who cares? Flip a coin. Like, I don't consider those losses. That's just you didn't have a skillful as person, or they had bad ice, or it was just a bad night, or the goalie got lucky. It's awful. I think it's awful. I think it needs to go.
Peter St. John says, I don't like ties either. And he says, I say reward me. So there you go. And Debbie agrees with you, saying it's a skills challenge. Yeah, it absolutely is. Again, if there was a way to do the 3-on-3, but like it,
you can't
somehow they score faster, right? I mean, I don't know, but hey, how about this? How about 3-on-3, but they just do away with blue line?
That'd be interesting.
Only for the 3-on-3. That would promote more scoring.
So there's no offsides?
There's no offsides. And then therefore you can't just dip out of the zone and get a reset, change your players up.
No offsides and no icing?
I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of something, man. I don't know. Anyway.
I can't lie. It was, a lot last, month. And
that's super producer Jason's favorite clip other than the Kunin one. Thank you for that. Kellen saying the Sharks are honestly coming off a 4-game trip in which they could have 8 points. That is true. I mean, they were in all of those games. And then again, like Aaron said, they lost in the skills challenge, right? The final 5 minutes have taken loss from the grasp of victory. I think that changes. Oh, Kellen thinks that the Sharks are on a trajectory, as we talked about earlier, where they might be getting some more wins instead of these losses. You know what? And I kind of agree. If that's where you're going, Kellen, I kind of agree with that. I feel like what we had said earlier too was, this is you've got a lot of new players on the team. You've got a new system, new coach, new GM, new everything. And it's going to take time for these guys to really gel. It's not quite like a video game where you just put the best players that you can and they all have good chemistry. So when you have a bunch of new guys, they have to learn each other, right? They have to gel. And the way that they're playing right now, I think is better than the very, very beginning of the season. And I don't know. I mean, if these guys are learning how each other are playing and they're figuring each other out, and Erik Karlsson stays healthy and hot, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't really want to be a bubble team, and I don't think that we will necessarily, but I do think you're right. We'll be on a trajectory kind of going up. Now, whether that means we win games instead of losing games, I don't know. But I think the team will actually start to look a little bit better as the season goes on, up until the trade deadline again for me.
I think it's already too late at this point. The damage has been done. They're going to be sellers, and they're going to be losing talent in
Oh,
their
yeah.
team, and they're just going to drop even more. So I just don't see, even with this hot Erik Karlsson and everything else going on, I don't see it. The Sharks have one regulation win.
Yeah.
You know, there's one team that does not have a regulation win. Do you know who that is?
Is it St. Louis because they're lower than us? Oh. Who?
A team above us that just played us twice this week.
No way.
Anaheim does not have a regulation win this season.
Well, we've got that then, right?
They have 4 wins. How many are the shootout? 2 from the shootout. The 2 against the Sharks. The other 2 are in overtime. So they have 2 overtime wins and 2 shootout wins.
Kellen saying LeBanc and Hurdle will heat up. I'd like to have your input on that one. Actually, do you think that anybody else on this roster who's not named Erik Karlsson or Timo Meier, actually, he's been heating up too. Do you think anybody else on this roster is going to start heating up?
I mean, I hope so, but
no, you don't.
I don't mind the 6-5 losses. It's entertaining. I think it's great. Couture needs to kind of step up. I thought he had one of his worst games yesterday. I don't know what's wrong with him. He seemed to, like, every time the puck would just come off his stick, even the shootout, he lost control of the puck in the shootout. He just couldn't get anything going. He had 2, 3 chances in the slot that just went right off his stick. I'd like to see him. LeBanc obviously would be great. I think he's starting to look better and a little bit more confident. Oscar Lindblom, I'd like to see step up. I think that was a guy that everyone's talking about before the season, that he's kind of a project guy, you know, like he should be better than he is, kind of. I'd like to see him. And then there's always one guy that I want to see do better.
Good, Noah Gregor?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Of course you want him to see.
He's got 5 games, no points, -2, 5 shots on goal.
So I've got 2 comments here, and then I think we'll wrap things up here. I'm gonna go to Kellen Foster to give Super Producer Jason some way of trying to answer this. Kellen's asking Super Producer Jason, is Karlsson hot? So we're trying to get not just our take on it, but Super Producer Jason. So if you'd like to do that, Jason, go ahead and put that in the chat, or I don't know what you want to do there. But then also Debbie Smith saying, do you think EK65 is looking to be traded? This is something that we've heard a little bit, back and forth on, Twitter and whatever else. Like, oh yeah, he's playing to get moved. Oh, hold on. Kellen Foster, I do wear EK65 jersey to the games. There you go. So Super Producer Jason's on board. But going back to the previous question, where is it? Clicking. From Debbie, do you think, Aaron, that EK65 is looking to be traded?
I think every player is playing to get traded. How about that? Not that they want to get traded, but they want to show that their value. And this season's kind of Dunsky, so I think they're trying to show what they can do. And for especially the guys with like 1 or 2 years left in their contract, like they want to get moved, and older guys are going to want to get moved. So yeah, I think they want to show their value and go to a contender.
Yeah, I think Erik Karlsson's no dummy when it comes to that. I mean, you've got guys that are going to be on this roster, this month, and then in a few months, probably not going to be. So he's going to be, again, stuck on a team that's got that talent moved off, and they're going to be, in non-contention again. So I think if he can find his way onto another roster, and it might be kind of difficult because, again, that $11.5 million, it doesn't mean it's untradeable. It just means it's a tough pill to swallow for another team that needs to try to take that contract on. It's not even like, oh, is he worth it? It's more like, can we figure out how to make the cap space? Yes, we can retain salary. I don't think the Sharks want to do that for the next 5 years, right? And yes, we could take on a bad contract, but that bad contract needs to be of short term so that we can do the rebuild that we want to do, right? So I don't think that he's like not movable, but I think that it would take a very specific team and a very creative trade, if you will, to get that done. So is he playing to be traded? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm just happy that, again, he's putting his best effort forward. He's healthy so far, at least. And he's, again, a driving force for this team where can you imagine if Erik Karlsson was already injured, or if Erik Karlsson was not playing the way that he has been, and there's just been nothing going on with the Sharks to talk about whatsoever? Can you imagine how boring this team would be to watch, right?
Yeah.
Be absolutely dreadful. Yes, we'd be that much closer to Bedard, but I certainly think that, from the organization standpoint, you still have a product to sell, and Erik Karlsson is absolutely doing that for the Sharks almost single-handedly.
Absolutely. And there's a question from, was it Egan Grau? Question anyone there on opening night. Did Karlsson get booed during his play intro? I heard some boos. You remember that?
I didn't catch that, no.
In fact, I think it's on our Instagram reel from when we were up high. But there was a mix. There's a mix of cheering and boos, definitely more than any other player. It was not like significant boos. It wasn't like, oh man, that guy just got booed out of here. It was like, oh, I hear some boo birds going on with the cheering and clapping. I was cheering. I was clapping. I'm a big fan of Karlsson. I like what he does and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I think if you're a Sharks fan and you're booing Karlsson, you should be booing everybody else. He is like the one shining light on this season, and if you're booing him because of the amount of money he makes, I don't know what to tell you. This guy's putting his best effort forward, and he's absolutely, again, the only shining star on the team right now. So I think if you're booing him, you better be booing everybody else.
Yeah, everyone wants him to be Chris Pronger, which he is not defensively, but also keep what his offensive prowess is. That's just not the kind of player he is. So be realistic.
Very good. Okay, well, hey, I think that wraps us up here. Any last second thing? Yeah, we're going to do all this stuff here. Super Producer Jason, thank you being on point here. Yeah, if you guys liked the video, thank you. I can growl friggin' true. Hey, I appreciate your dedication to staying family friendly with the censored word there. I appreciate that. If you can hit the like button if you guys like the video. If you are not subscribed, please do that. Ring the bell. You guys know when we're going live. Love to have you guys in here with your comments and questions. It's so much fun bouncing off with you guys these comments and these ideas and these different topics and whatnot. So if you'd like to support the show, again, you can do that through Super Chat. You can do it through Venmo at The Fin Factor, or you can go to the website, thefinfactor.com, and check out any of the merchandise that we have there for sale. So if you would like to support the show but get something back for it, that's the place to go. Aaron, last words?
Let's do it.
No, we're done. Guys, peace out. Great show, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. For Super Producer Jason, I'm Paul.
And I'm Aaron.
And we will see you guys
next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, check out our other content, especially interviews. You can interact with us directly through social media at The Fin Factor and on Instagram at Fin Factor. And don't forget to join our live streams on YouTube.
Visit our website at thefinfactor.com, where you'll find all of our episodes as videos or podcasts. You'll also find our exclusive merchandise to help support our show.